One of the ways to assess the intelligence of any environment or any culture is the respect and treatment given to minorities. Because by definition, there's an issue of scale or a discrepancy in mass, which allows for bullying. You can dominate a minority without the sophistication to understand and integrate their perspectives, which is, of course, a symptom of ignorance, because it is our minorities that embody the bleeding edge of our future. Without a minority, there is no bleeding edge. There is no next evolutionary step, and every single thing that is to do with culture and the conscious mind is on an evolutionary path. And so this bell curve, as something very small and new, becomes dominant and then trails off and becomes a minority again, as something else that is small and new becomes the new bleeding edge, the new beginning of a bell curve that will touch a majority. If you kill off your minorities, you get stagnation. If you dishonor your minorities, you get stagnation. And so the minorities, the intelligent minorities in any field, have a good chance of being the next bell curve, and so must be treated with respect, in the understanding that the majority cannot capture the minority, that the minority knows something that the majority do not. And so until we discover which thing is going to bring us to which new trend, to which new technology, to which new paradigm, it is intelligent for the majority to show deference and at least to tolerate graciously and facilitate the activities of intelligent minorities of all kinds. And then out of that chaos comes some synergy and some new wave that will be the future. And Graham Hancock is that in archaeological territory. He is a pioneer of thought. He is a pioneer of paradigms. And he's bringing it to light while still paying a great deal of deference to the scientific method and to learning about the majority pattern. It's generally difficult to transcend a majority pattern without understanding it. Now, this puts him at odds, as minorities in unintelligent cultures are feared for the chaos they bring, for the uncertainty they bring, which is, feared as a general part of traumatic cultures. Traumatic cultures fear the unknown. We are a traumatic culture, and so we are afraid of the unknown, which means we're afraid of change, which means we're afraid of minorities, and we punish them for the chaos and uncertainty they bring, which is also the life they bring. Because without chaos, you don't have movement. Without movement, you don't have breath. Without breath, no change. Without change, you have stagnation. You have death. Life is a series of rhythms, and death is stagnation. In a very odd way, we create what we fear. We are terrified of death in a traumatic culture, and we create death by stultifying our lives, by attacking and fearing change in all kinds of ways. And so Graham is traditionally very conservative and even a little boring in the amount that he goes into validating this or that, technique and scientific principle, et cetera, at least for me, not being terribly interested in archaeology. But this book, Supernatural, I'm in fact more interested in the way that other scientists treat Graham as a fractal pattern for how we as a culture deal with change and intelligence than I am in, the exact dates of this or that over time. But in this book, Supernatural, Graham is setting himself free to explore psychedelics, to explore culture, and is not limiting himself to a scientific defense of every nuance of what he's saying. So it's one of my more enjoyable books, and it's also very enjoyable for me to find that Graham has successfully created a market, a niche market for his works. A fan base that will look for Graham Hancock books, that will raise millions of dollars, that can kind of take this minority trend further into the future, at least as far as it goes. I really enjoy that. So one of my favorite books by Graham Hancock is Supernatural.